And to be honest, it's a little bit challenging for me now after such a beautiful presentation we had. And I realized that probably I will tell about the same, let's say, aspects of mental health and culture. But at the same time, I think I will still use a different approach, different case examples. And I also would like to talk a little bit to discuss different perceptions we have in global regions. At the same time, how cultural values may influence the way how we manage our mental health and well-being. So, and being a consultant who works with multinational companies, I would probably share with you some best practices I've seen in my clients. So, it's again about culture, it's about human nature, and it's about mental health. So I would like to start with a question to our participants. Just think about the situation. You need to explain in your native language the term mental health. So what words or expressions would you use for that? Whether it would be neutral, positive, or rather negative, how would you explain to other people who don't know your language what mental health would mean? If you wish, you can share your thoughts in the chat, but please do mention what country you are from, or you can just reflect on that. And yeah, I would be curious to see some answers in our chat, if there are anyone. Aha, psychiczne zdrowie. Super. Thank you, Violeta. Yeah. Is it neutral? Is it positive? Is it negative? Neutral, yeah. I prepared some examples for you because really our Amira was absolutely right. Our language even helps us to understand how we can approach this topic of mental health at workplace. In English, probably in international English, mental health is rather positive. Yeah, we talk about emotional balance concept. The same in Portuguese. People talk about that in public. It's not a problem for them. And the mental health, this wording is often used as an explanation of some programs on mindfulness, emotional education. So I guess, again, it's rather positive. In Slovenian, psychično zdravje, as Violeta wrote, or duševno zdravje, it means soul health. It's neutral. Probably in some different contexts, we may see that it sounds rather formal, but it's not negative. It's interesting enough. In my native language, you also may say duševное здоровье, but it's rather negative. I would say people would rather use different words to tell about the same topic. Turkish could be neutral in theory, but people rather avoid talking about that openly. You can share some issues, but with very close friends or family or people you know and trust. In Arabic language, Korean language, it has really strong negative connotation. And sometimes it's really taboo to use these words because it means by default that you talk about someone who is mentally unhealthy immediately. So, and again, people try to use different words, probably something like, I'm under stress, or this person is under stress. And the negative connotation actually influences, again, not only the way how we perceive mental health, but also whether we are ready to talk about that, even with people who we know. So we can say it can be about self-care, mindfulness, mental well-being, self-expression in a balance, but it could be something about spiritual imbalance, inner struggle, like psychological, emotional struggle, weakness, sickness, mental problem. So it's really depend on the bigger cultural context. And if we want to change the situation, we want people to be more aware of that and feel absolutely safe to talk about that, especially at workplace. We need to use, let's say, balanced approach. We cannot just say people, oh, it's okay. In our company, you can always talk about that. People who were raised in cultures where it's a taboo, it's not enough to support them. And imagine that you were in the situation when you really were under emotional stress and you needed some help. Who did you approach? How did you sort of deal with this situation? Because again, culture is like a filter. It's not only about how we perceive the mental health, but also how we see who should be involved in that. Is it my personal problem? It's my individual issue, and I have to deal with that myself. Or it's community, yeah, but community can be close community, my family, my friends, or it's wider community. We talk about society. Who is supposed to help? Or it's probably some professional circles, and it might be not only psychotherapists, it may be some religious, spiritual professionals, really someone who can help me, especially in the situations where I cannot control the situation and I don't know what strategy to cope with that I can use. And we need to remember that usually we have really different cultural understanding what is okay, what is normal. But at the same time, even in different cultures, we do have positive intention, whatever culture you are, the majority of people. We may demonstrate different behavior, but intention behind it is always positive. And let's talk about three, the conflicting, I would say, pairs of values. There are cultures where well-being is promoted or working hard is promoted. I was raised in a culture where my parents worked hard, my grandmom worked hard. I was supposed to work hard if I want to be respected. Second pair of values, it's emotional expressive cultures or cultures so-called cold cultures, yeah, where self-control, keeping professional face is a value. Or how we perceive time, we like to live in the moment, we focused on present, or we focus on future and we want to sort of invest in the future. Yeah, these cultural values can be subconscious. We may be not aware of them, but they really shape the way how we manage mental health. And let's talk about that. And let's start with this, the first pair, well-being versus working hard. Well-being, it's called, if you read some books about cultural dimensions, it's called cooperative cultures. And in the core idea here that well-being and mental health is a shared responsibility. The better individual feels, the better community, company, team, society would be. So mental health is a normal part of healthy life. It means that it's absolutely okay. For example, in Denmark, people feel safe and comfortable to talk about stress in the workplace. They're more ready to discuss with their colleagues whether they need some support, and actually to ask for help is absolutely culturally acceptable. And now let's have a look at the opposite. Again, it's not good or bad. It's just different cultural values. People who were, let's say, I like the word culture. It's what kind of habits were cultivated, yeah? For example, in my case, my habit cultivated by my family is I am hardworking person, yeah? So it's in competitive cultures like Japan, Hungary, USA, where we focus more on our high performance, effectiveness, achievements, and personal resilience is important, but it's my private matter. And I'm supposed to manage that individually. And the consequences of that, it's hard for me to ask for help. And what is more dangerous, I notice the symptom of stress when it might be too late already. I'm so close to burnout. I don't have the habit to recognize the first symptoms. And again, if I admit the stress, it might be actually not good for my individual professional reputation. So people are really struggling with that. And now imagine that we have multicultural team. How can you balance that? We do want to have achievements. We do want to achieve business results. Yes, we do. Do we want people in the team feel comfortable, not stressed, rather engaged? Yes, we do. How can we balance that? That's really leadership challenge, and this is an organizational challenge. And I'm going to share some best practices with you later on. So the second pair is like emotional expression or self-control. Expressive cultures, Italy, Brazil, Mexico, again, the core idea is that showing emotions in public, it's a sign of my openness and authenticity. I don't have hidden agenda. And it's not only because I'm so open and this is my personality, it's a part of social connection. It's a part of how we communicate with each other, even without words. We can show our emotions through face expressions, through gestures, etc. And again, conversations about stress and mental health may be more natural in families and communities. Yeah, and I think in Latin America, it's promoted, this emotional expression, because you may hear people say, like, you just let it out in safe environment with your friends, with your family. You don't bottle up these emotions because it's unhealthy. And now let's think about I don't know, Finnish or Japan person who works in Latin America. He was cultivated in different environment where keeping face is a value because it's a self-control, and this is a signal of your maturity. You are adult, you are a good professional, because it's unprofessional to show your extreme emotions in public. Yeah? And again, it should be managed privately. So people in these cultures, like Japanese people, for example, they have even special expression, like you do keep your emotions because you care about social harmony. You don't want to disturb other people. You respect them, and you want them to feel okay, so your emotions should be kept. Yeah. And again, it might be difficult for people from these cultures actually to find the good words to express their feelings. And it might lead to some somatic symptoms. They don't know how to handle that, but it's constant headache or sleeping problems. And again, it may influence the team morale, people around you, and business performance. So how to balance these two extremes? If you work in multicultural team, you have people from different cultures. And last but not least, our orientation to time. Countries with more focus on present, like living in the moment, Spain, Latin American countries, people value enjoyment, relationships, spontaneity. And the mental health is really, it's the way where you're supported through people around you, through connections. You sort of feel your energy is replenished because you are in constant contacts with other people, yeah, in close communities. And but this spontaneity sort of doesn't allow people to think about mental health in the long term. Comparing to future-focused cultures, I was talking to one of my colleagues in Germany, and she said, like, oh, it's a good, I just shared that I was invited to Ecocivilisation to talk about mental health. And she was saying, like, yes, I also plan some mindfulness training program in 6 months. And I was like, what, 6 months? Probably you should do that somehow before. So really, people from these cultures, we prioritize mental health as really like a project. Yeah, we want. We live in quite predictable and stable environments, so we think we can plan sort of preventive measures like coaching, well-being programs, and this is encouraged. And again, stress management, mental health is a means to sustain our effectiveness because we're more focused on productivity and performance, not only now, but in the future as well. So I gave you just a few examples of that. And think about what is accepted in your native culture if you need to cope with stress, you have some issues with mental health. What would be accepted and what behavior would be considered as abnormal, not accepted at all, what it would be? I'm just conscious of time. I don't know, probably, yeah, I'll just go to the benefits that to the best practices companies can use. What I often see when I work with companies, first of all, this issue is just given to deal with to HR people. They sort of responsible for corporate culture, well-being, etc. But it depends a lot on leadership as well, because unfortunately, very often HR people, so they are nominated to be responsible for well-being, but they don't have a decision-making power, and they don't have the decision power on budgets and etc. So they have quite limited area of influence, but at the same time, they are sort of named as a key people to be responsible for corporate culture. And what HR people do, they start some initiatives and they create workplace policies. Good, but it's not the first step. Why we need to involve the leaders on different levels of the organization? Because first of all, we need to think about the culture where really open dialogue is supported, where we can use different language and adapt the language if we know that we have people, even the minority group, but people who come from cultures where mental health is taboo. Probably we just use different language, like stress management. So let's talk about well-being. And again, we need to think about diversity of coping strategies, because what works in one culture will not work in another culture. And I always say, like, we need to encourage people just to share how does it work in your country or your culture. Probably we can actually, this sharing of ideas can also provoke our thinking, and we can find the new strategies. Why not? The second thing, what we need as a companies to do, we need to make these mental health benefits really tangible, visible. We need to promote them, and we need them to be accessible. Equal access, meaning sometimes we have people who work remotely, or we have people who have like hybrid regimes of working, or a lot of these programs and mental health initiatives or well-being initiatives, they are launched in headquarters, but how about local offices? People work on big different distances, but they also need this support. So we need to promote these initiatives. We need to highlight the positive experience and benefits, but also in some cultures, we need to include different activities, sport activities, family activities, etc. One of my clients, they like to do once a year, they do this children day in the office. They just bring kids. And it also helps people to feel like, wow, my kids now understand better what I'm doing. Why did I choose this profession? And they're proud of their parents, and parents so happy to see that kids feel absolutely interested in what is going on in this company. They are included, etc., etc. It's just one of the initiatives, but it really creates a good emotional background across the whole company. Then the third step is think about different mental health resources. And first of all, train managers to be also think about their own resilience, their own coping with stress, and also how they can help their team members, how they can notice some first signals, how can they start these difficult conversations sometimes. And also, companies need to provide multilingual support, because not everyone, especially in local offices, speak very good English, and people can feel uncomfortable if they send to just English-speaking training programs or whatever. Again, safe channels to ask for help. Directly or anonymously, and also provide various learning resources, face-to-face, online, short programs, really models of different programs on mental health, well-being in general. I know some companies, they do like a year program, just helping people to create healthy habits, because habits takes time to create, yeah? And companies really support their employees. and then you can come with the policies. Yeah. But also we need to be aware that policies related to mental health and well-being, they should be integrated to other. They should be aligned to with other policies, like what's about performance reviews, what about leadership culture, etc., etc. And again, use this cross-cultural diversity. Ask people to create probably peers group, do regular evaluation by the whole company, by different teams or different functions. It might help people actually to be more involved. They don't expect just company to do something. They become more proactive. They suggest what company can do for them. They start to share their own ideas. So my takeaways or conclusions. Mental health awareness is growing, which is great. And our conversation today actually shows that the landscape is changing, thanks God. However, we should be still sensitive to cultural elements. We cannot use this one size fits all approach. No. And the culture shapes the way how we define mental health, how we express it, and how we seek solutions and how we ask for help. We need to work on reducing mental health stigma in multicultural workplace, but it's not easy way. It's not a single initiative. Remember about culture, benefits, resources, and policies. Everything should be aligned. And only in this way we can come to the situation where mental health is perceived as a normal part of organizational well-being and organizational operations. And I'm sure that if we continue conversations like we have today, we will help companies or society create more inclusive and supportive environment when everyone feels respected, not only at workplace, but really in society. And I think we need to talk about that even in schools and education system. We should start early, not just when people come to work. It should be really like a complex approach. Thank you for your time.